Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. We are checking in here. And this is September 18th, 2024. And this is the Bison Swords Midweek Report. And, we got a few things here that we're going to be talking about in this Midweek Report. We have a number of fights that are coming up here this weekend that we're going to be talking about. Yes, of course, I will be, heading over to Wembley Stadium for that IBF Heavyweight Championship bout between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. So, when I have the time, I'll be, breaking down that particular bout. You also have Jaime McGee versus Eric Brazilian. That's going to be on Friday night. That is a top rank card. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And we got like a number of other fights that will be going on those particular cards there. But of course, basically focus on what's going on with the Riyadh season event over in the UK. So we got a few fights that are going to be there on Saturday night. And, as I mentioned there with Jaime McGee versus Eric Brazilian on Friday night, because, that is going to be interesting to see what's going on with Jaime McGee coming off of his loss to Canelo Alvarez. And of course, we saw what happened with Canelo against Edgar Berlanga on Saturday, this past Saturday. And we would like to see, how Jaime McGee responds to, having the loss there in May. I was, there in attendance for that Canelo versus Munguia fight in May, and of course you've seen that Munguia had that knockdown, and afterwards, kind of was a little bit tentative in throwing as many punches as he was in those first few rounds. So we're gonna see, how he approaches this fight against Eric Brazilian. See if he, keeps his standing as one of those highly ranked super middleweight contenders there. And potentially could get in the mix for another world title bout later in 2025, maybe. So we'll have to see how that works out. But my thing is here, we got to get this show started and on the road, because I am thankful to have a special guest coming up here on the Midweek Report, as he is getting ready to be inducted in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. He amassed a record of 57 wins with only 6 defeats, and 30 of those wins were by knockout. Hailing from Washington, D.C. by way of Tacoma Park, Maryland, a graduate of the real HU and the University of Maryland, the two-time junior welterweight champion of the world, the little big man himself, Sharmba Mitchell. What's happening with you?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
All good, man. All good. Very thankful for you to join us here on the Bison Source. I know that we have something big coming up here next weekend, as you'll be enshrined at the Hall of Fame there in Atlantic City. And I know that you've been anticipating this moment here for some time now. What was it like when you were notified that you would be in the class of 2024?
Oh man, like it's funny. I'm sitting in my basement like I'm doing now, man, and just looking at TV, and I get a call, and he tells me, you get ready to be a part of Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, and I say, man, stop playing with me, Ray. He said, nah, man, we've nominated you to be in the induction into the Hall of Fame next year. Man, I went crazy. I just, I cried. It's as a kid, when you grow up in a sport like in football, I want to be a Super Bowl champ, right?
Yeah.
Baseball, you want to win a ring or something like that. And for boxing, we just want to be world champions. That's what we want to be. But the extra plus is being in the Hall of Fame. That's something totally different.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that was the thing. There was like you got that call to be part of the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, and of course, there's like a lot of history there in Atlantic City with the number of memorable fights in there. But
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell people, we have three major big Hall of Fames, in boxing. You got the International, which is first, Atlantic City, which is second, and then you have Las Vegas, which is
mhm.
the other. For us on the East Coast, Las Vegas, I mean, Atlantic City was our Las Vegas. You had the
Yep.
major fights there. Ray Leonard, you had Ali, you had Larry Holmes, you had everybody fought in Atlantic City, you know, and it was almost like my second home up there as I got started out out of that 88 team. And it was just an honor to be amongst some of the great people that are in there. And then we have a great squad that's actually going in 24. Real fighters that's really going in.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Now, I'll get into that 2024 class there in a bit, but you mentioned that thing there as far as like starting off in '88 there in Atlantic City. You had like a number of fights there at the Steel Pier. In those like first few years that you were there in Atlantic City. What has it meant for you to have a lot of those fights there in, as you mentioned, one of the premier cities when it comes to boxing?
Um, it was always great because I was on TV. I always tell this story that in my first fight, uh, I I was in my dressing room, and I was signed with Frank Gelb. Uh,
Hmm.
the Gelb brothers up in Atlantic City was the big promoters there, and they had the contracts with USA and ESPN and all of those people. So I was supposed to fight my first fight on ESPN. I got so anxious and scared in my dressing room that I kept telling them, "Man, I want to go on. I want to go on." And it's like, just wait for a minute, and you got one more fight. I said, "Nah, I want to go on right now. And I want to go on now." And they put me on, and I didn't get to fight my first fight on TV, which was supposed to be on TV.
Oh man. Hey, you were like, yeah, you were way too anxious. You know how it is, like, as they do with the double dutch, you just, waiting to jump on in, waiting to jump on in there. You just was running right in there, man. You didn't even care if it was on TV or not. You just wanted to fight.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what's up there, man. That's what's up. And I want to see if I could go back to October 10th, 1998. Now, back then, I mean, for me, that was like my senior year in high school. You know what I'm saying? I was playing football, doing things here and there, dual enroll and all that stuff. But you were in Paris fighting for the world title for the first time. Can you recall when you heard and the new WBA light welterweight champion Sharmba Mitchell?
Hey, that's another moment that you kind of cry, because it felt like back then it took so long for me to kind of get there. You know, um, People don't understand. Like they didn't give us anything back in those days. That we had to fight for everything, and you gotta understand. I didn't. I went all the way. I was undefeated all the way to 31-0. I was undefeated, and I didn't even have a title shot then.
Mm-hmm.
31-0 and not have a title shot. You got these kids nowadays getting title shots at 10-0, 12-0. They're giving away belts. We
Yeah.
had to earn belts back then. So not even closer to being the same. So to be able to fight for a belt, it's funny. I'm sitting at home and I'm watching Frankie Randall and Khalid Railu fight on TV, and soon as Kali Railu beat Frankie Randall, I get right on the phone. I call Don King up. I say, Don, I want that fight. Sharmba, man, you ain't ready for it, man. Come on, man. I said, get me that fight, man. I said, I don't care if we go over there. I don't care if he come over here. I don't care where we go. I go in the bathroom. We're gonna fight this fight. So he called, he got the fight, and there you go.
Yeah, man. Don King. If you push for it, he'll get things done for you. There, he's like, hey, man. Hey, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, Sean. I don't know if I can get it done for you, and you just had to push for it. He just had to push for it in order to
Oh,
get that done.
absolutely.
Yeah, man. And that was like some experience there because if I'm not mistaken, that was like your first fight internationally. That was first thing
Well,
where
that was my first fight internationally as a pro.
yeah, it's pro, yeah.
Correct. As a pro. Um, but to have the background of the background of my amateur background, you know,
Mhm.
fight internationally, being on that '88 Olympic team, um, going to fight guys like that and things like that, that prepares you for missions of this sort right here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like you said, you already had the experience of traveling internationally, as an amateur, so that kind of like prepared you for being where you were at there as far as like having that type of fight, so to speak, there, over in France and things like that. So you were
I,
able to, had that go down, and then after that, you had that opportunity to defend that world title in your hometown on multiple occasions. What was it like to have that hometown fight coming in there as a world champ?
hey man, to be able to come back home and not only just come back home, man. You know, I never, eh, eh, I never wanted to fight anyone from home. I never wanted to do that because I think we had some of the best fighters um, in this world from our city. From DC and Maryland. I think that we had some of the best fighters here, and I never wanted to fight anyone, but um, you know, I had I had a couple of guys in the same weight class, and one of the guys I used to, spar with. I had much respect for Reggie Green, and I gave him a shot. Nobody else in my weight would give him a shot, so um, I gave him a shot. Now I could give you a shot, but I'm not gonna just give you my belt. Happen. I figured in boxing, man, this is my city. Nobody was. I don't care if you're from here, born here. Look, I'm born and raised in D.C. and you're not taking my belt. That wouldn't happen. Not in my hometown. You know.
Yeah, man. It's like you said, you definitely have to represent Washington D.C. to the fullest in that particular instance there, man. And you had those couple of instances where you did defend the IBF World title there or WBA title there in that particular instance, and just said like I said, handle business, and there were like multiple places that you did fight, in your pro career, not just in Atlantic City and of course, there as I mentioned, Paris and Washington D.C. But you also had fights over there in Vegas, as they say, Vegas is the big city when it comes to boxing. So,
Boxing.
like, how about those experiences in Vegas?
Yeah, many fights in Vegas, man. One of the major fights I fought, Caesar's Palace. I remember winning the NABF belt in Caesar's Palace, first round knockout, and Lou Gossip Jr. coming up to me, saying, "Man, you fight. I'm gonna keep on watching you, man. I watch you all the time. That's crazy to have superstars like that come up to you, but." Vegas was major hub for me also. There, Mandalay Bay, MGM. Back in the day when we was going out to the fights and going to the big fights with um, with Mike Tyson's and things of that nature. So yeah, man, Vegas is a major hub also.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, you talk about those fights there with Tyson, those big events there. I mean, hey, listen. I mean, I was in there. I was going to Vegas, and I had to do the fights, and I was just knocking people out there in Vegas. That was my story. No, but that was like I said, it's definitely a great experience to be part of those big events there. Like I said, in Vegas, and of course here in Atlantic City, because like I said before, those are like the premier cities in the U.S. When it comes to boxing. So, like, when people
Right.
think about boxing, they thought about those two cities, particularly like I said, around those times there in the '90s and early 2000s and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to go to the fights, man, and we go to the fight suited and booted, man. Who
Mm-hmm.
had the best suits on, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no doubt, man. But these days, man, you can pretty much go in there like almost any type of way,
Hey, man, look, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. For those watching live, of course, we got our guy here, the great Sharmba Mitchell, of course, who is going to be inducted in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. The awards and induction weekend will be taking place September 27th through 29th this year at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Of course, he's going to be part of the class there with Tyrone Mitchell Frazier, James Buster Douglas, Mario Maldonado, Jerry Cooney, Sergio Maravilla Martinez, The Punisher Paul Williams, Mark Breland, and Eva Jones Young. So that is definitely a great class as far as like the fighters that will be part of that class.
Absolutely, man.
And what would you say is like your thoughts about being part of this 2024 class?
I think it's a great class, man. This class here has true fighters in there, right? Like almost like all your big name fighters. Your fighters that actually beat one another and fought one another.
Mm-hmm.
You got Martinez fought Paul Williams, knocked Paul Williams out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paul Williams stopped me. That was my last fight of my whole entire career. I fought Paul Williams. You got Buster Douglas, Mark Breland. You got Buddy McGirt. You have some true, like, it's true fighters in this class, man. I'm just, look, man. I'm just happy to be a part of it. Period. They it's just great for people for me to be able to tell people that I'm a Hall of Famer. Who would ever think? You when you think of Hall of Fame, you think of the Jim Browns in football and stuff like that, man. So I'm ecstatic, man, and I'm so happy and so grateful. I just thank God every day or all the time that I'm able to actually sit here and talk to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this since I was 8 years of age, and not only just boxing. I was playing football. I was all county running back in Prince George's County. So um, I played football all the way into a high school. So it just wasn't this; it was that. And then I had a little cousin named Mark Anderson. He was a third-degree black belt, and he prepared me a lot for this, man, because we used to spar with each other in my grandmother's basement.
Mm.
In my grandmother's basement, we used to spar with one another in the basement, and he was a third-degree black belt, so he used to kick at me and stuff like that. So that's where I got a lot of my defense and a lot of my blocking from and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I was, I got taught a lot, and he beat me up a lot too.
I mean, there, like I said, third degree black belt, but both, with karate and judo, boxing, that's still a martial art. So, like you said, you had to learn, how to block, whether it was punches or kicks, you still had to, keep your hands up or keep it at the
Yeah.
specific spots in order to dodge or block those kicks or punches.
What the sport is to hit and not get hit.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. But I tell people, I've been truly, truly blessed. I mean, truly blessed. You're talking. I just turned 54, and you're able to talk to me. I'm able to understand you, and I still have my brain, and I can still everything is still there. So like I was blessed as one of the fighters that had a lot of fights, and people don't see us in training camp, so
Yeah.
just imagine all the rounds I did in training camp. So
Yeah. That'd
and
be
then,
the thing.
and then this past weekend to be around other great fighters, man.
Yeah.
Great man. Listen, coming up in DC, it was all about Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard, his brother Roger Leonard. All those guys. So to be around them sometimes, when Ray comes in town, man, we get together. I love him. His son, me and his son talk a lot, Lil Ray, things in there. So, it's just great to be around them sometimes. Riddick Bowe, New York guy. Me and Riddick Bowe talked the other day about how I met him in '87 in Lake Placid at the Olympic Festival trials, and sat in his seat, and he told me get up out of it, and I asked him, who the hell are you? He told me who he was. I said, I don't care. He said, I'm from New York. I said, no, I'm from DC. And what? So we was about to fight each other, but guess what? We became friends, man, and became members of on the same team, man. He had the same manager, and I had the same manager at time, So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great event there this past Saturday over in PG County. You had of course you there as you mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard, Riddick Bowe. You had Keith Holmes. You had William Joppy in there.
Yeah.
You had Claude Boges in there in attendance. A number of other great legends in there, and current pro fighters too, young fighters that are coming up in the pros.
And it's crazy that if a lot of these fighters are on your podcast or seeing this podcast, man, these guys, like, I was the smallest one in the gym. I was the smallest one, the littlest one in the gym, man. But I sparred with everyone. Keith Holmes, William Joppies. Listen, I sparred with all of them, but they've prepared me. We didn't try to beat each other up. We helped one another. I was just fast. I was fast for all of them. So guess what? Me getting in there with them worked on a lot of their defense. They're fast, the punches that they ain't gonna see. So got in there with those guys that was their size and bigger. Their hands ain't as fast as mine. So it prepared them. So we and I knew the guys that I was fighting weren't gonna be hitting this hard. Trust me, I never wanted to spar with Keith Holmes. He hit too damn hard. I tell him to this day, I will not spar him. I will not fight because he hit too hard. It ain't happening. And he too long.
Yeah, he was definitely a problem there in the pros for sure, man. Yeah, just real quick, wanted to shout out folks that chiming in on the chat. Shout out to Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. That's on here. You said, "Hey man, yeah, you had great defense there, in your professional career, man." And my guy, light skinned Lou in the building. It says, "Congratulations, champ, on being inducted into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame." And of course, our guy DC himself, Derek Curry, in the building, man. Of course, shout out to my guy Derek Curry. Here in the building in the chat, man. You were saying like you were coming up, in DC and PG County and everything like that. As you said, you came up, you were playing football, you were doing other sports there, before going in boxing, and you basically been a proud representative of Washington D.C. Here. Like, what has D.C. meant to you over the years?
It's weird. We have such a unique city. this city is just flat out different and unique. Like we just it's no place, man, it's no place like it. It's just no place like Washington,
Yeah,
man. Listen, we have our own everything, to the way we dress, to the way we talk, to our music, to absolutely it's just different. Everything starts here and everything ends in DC, right? We got the White
mhm,
House.
yep,
We make the laws. So, growing up here, it was always hard, but you gotta wiggle your way through those problems and those temptations and things of that nature. And
yeah,
just having just a little bit of discipline, and it other than that, you know you work your way through it. I learned a lot of things from the street. you know the streets wasn't like they were now, but I learned a lot from the streets, from some of the old heads that tell me, oh, youngin, stay out these streets, man, go on back in the gym and you're doing too good, come on, man. Stuff like that. You listen to them, but you don't listen to them.
hmm,
Back then. So absolutely, it's a great thing to have the best of two worlds. I had I grew up in Tacoma Park, uptown,
yeah,
Northwest DC, and my mother's mother lived on the Prince George's County side of Tacoma Park. So, I was able to experience two sides. I was able to experience my DC side and my Maryland side at the same time, but stay in the same city at Tacoma Park, which is crazy. My mom wouldn't let me go to any DC school, so I wasn't going to Coolidge. It was,
oh,
I was not going to Coolidge High School. It wasn't happening. All my cousins went to Coolidge High School. I was not going there. So guess what? I went to Northwestern High School, that was on the Prince George's County side of Tacoma Park. It was crazy. My mother's mother lived on that side, so it enabled me to go to Northwestern High School. So everybody that got put out of Coolidge took the took the took the bus down to Prince George's Plaza and walked over to Northwestern.
oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, that was something because I had sometime back it was like the mid 90s where it was around like that same area around Tacoma though, like you would be right there, you're right on the border though, but this was like over by Eastern Avenue, like close to
Yep.
Tacoma Station, right?
Yep.
But
Right there.
you know
Yeah.
I
It's
was I was going to elementary school though, but the thing was at the time when I was there, my mom didn't have me go to school in Maryland. She had me go to school in DC. So it had like John Burroughs Elementary School. So I had to like take the bus to get over
right.
to John Burroughs Elementary and have a couple of years out there. So that was an experience there to cross there between Maryland and DC at that time. But I
Yeah.
ended up what it was. I could have went to what was it? Like Tacoma, like over there by Tacoma Park, yeah, Eastern Middle School at the time too.
Right.
So I
Right.
was around there, around that area, like mid 90s. So that was an experience for sure, man.
Absolutely.
Go back and forth there. I
Absolutely.
mean,
And
yeah,
it's you mentioned Tacoma State. Tacoma Station, like, okay, so Tacoma Station is right there at Northwest, at Maryland and at DC, because you walk right across the street, you on the Maryland side of Tacoma Park, and then you walk back you on the Northwest side. But
mhm,
it was a tavern over there called the Tacoma Station Tavern, and that's a historical land spot for all music, right?
yeah,
All music and parties. So, I always try to go back home. Always try to go back home. So, you know, everybody, if you can't make it up Atlantic City, if you can't make it up Atlantic City, October 6th, I'm doing a celebration party. Doing a celebration party at Tacoma Station, a day party on that Sunday. And the Redskins, they play. I say the Redskins still. I don't say the
yeah,
I don't even know. I don't know that other word. The Washington football team. So I'm doing my party that October 6th at a day party, 4 to 9. I got a secret society there. My man DJ Trini,
Yeah.
me and DJ Trini from WKYS, we graduated together, so he'll be there. And my host is my man, the funny man, Billy the Kid.
Yeah, that'll be a great event there, coming up. Yeah, I know DJ Trini, man. I've been to a number of events that he's been a DJ at. So that'll definitely be a great event, out there, at in Tacoma, man. So, folks be able to join in there, after we get back from the induction ceremony at the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame there.
And I'm getting my man Al Malik. Al Malik is one of the big pillars and one of the guys that kept us really relevant here in DC and kept all of the world champions. Nobody wouldn't have known that we had five world champions at the same time that grew up here in the DMV. We was all world champions at the same time in the 90s. Nobody in history has ever had that. And Al Malik is one of the guys that gave us proclamations and keys to the city and things that and recognized us as world champions. So me personally, myself, I want to give back to him also. So I'm gonna give him a nice award on that day also, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's definitely gonna be awesome. Like I said, I'll be there. See if I be there, like front and center. When you have that presentation there coming up too. So that's gonna be great. Like I said, we're looking forward to also, of course, the awards induction weekend there at the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. It's gonna be September 27th to the 29th there. Right at the boardwalk. We mentioned all of the fighters that will be inducted. You did mention Buddy McGirt as the trainer that's going to be inducted on there. Samson Lukowitz, who's your promoter, there, with Samson Boxing. I talked with him, in the past too. He mentioned being part of the Hall of Fame as well. We got a number of folks that will be inducted, on this particular class. So definitely looking forward to, that weekend there. Now, want to see if I have, some quick questions here real fast, and then we're gonna break down some things that are going on, currently. All right. So I would say here, okay, what would you say is your greatest memory as a pro fighter?
My greatest memory. Okay. My greatest memory, I have two of them.
Okay.
I have two of them. Can I allow to have two of them?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
So two of them. My first one, me fighting in Atlantic City on ESPN. I'm fighting Bazooka Lamone. And he pulls my trunks down.
Oh man. ESPN, man.
So you remember that? Yeah. You old enough to see that, man?
Hey, listen. Like I said, man, I was out there around that area, man. Around that time.
He pulled my trunks down. So that was a memory. And the second one, I got hit the hardest ever. Rocky Lockridge. Man, I fought Rocky Lockridge at the Meadowlands up in New Jersey, in the big old Meadowlands. Yeah. And it's crazy, right? I was up in my hotel, and Ali comes up to my hotel and does a magic trick for me and all that stuff. Cause we were good friends also, me and Ali. So, but in the fight, man, I get hit sitting on the ropes, and Rocky Lockridge hits me, and everything goes black. All I hear was the bell. And I go back to my corner. They say, "You all right?" I say, "What you mean?" So they put all this ice on my face and wake me back up.
Oh man, yeah, those are two big moments there. You know what I'm saying? Two moments there where you got through adversity, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? All right. Next thing is, who would you say was your toughest opponent?
Everybody asks me that also. Man, it's funny. It's a guy that I fought. It was like earlier in my career. I fought him at it was one of the times that I did fight in Maryland at LaFontaine Blue,
Okay.
and it, I wasn't
It's like Daryl Richardson.
I think so. I wasn't really there. I was there, but I wasn't there.
Mm,
Oh, you get one of those fights, you there, but you really not there. And it was just a tough fight for no reason. And I mean, he fought the hell out of me. I I kind of felt like I almost lost, but I won the fight. But it was just one of those really, really tough fights for no reason.
mm.
And then I was undefeated, and everybody was coming after me. Like everybody was coming after me. So yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that's an interesting one there, man. Well, on that note, what would you say it was the most interesting venue or arena that you fought in?
Woo, the most interesting venue that I fought in. Um, oh my gracious, Manchester, England.
Mm,
Woo, you talking about big arenas?
yeah,
Man, listen, nothing like it in the United States. Like absolutely nothing. Listen, Manchester. Woo, my gracious, unreal. I mean, unbelievable arena, just humongous. The fans and yeah, Manchester.
yeah. I mean, I know about like you said there, you're about against Michael Stewart, and they've had historically what was it Ricky Hatton, pretty
Yeah,
much like built this popularity there at the Manchester Arena there, and you
yeah,
had like for him, they had those chants for him, and it almost seemed like it was deafening when they did that,
yep,
and
yep,
like you said, that experience there in the UK is something else. I'm
absolutely.
going to be, mentioning here later on down the line, the upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois that is going to be there at Wembley Stadium, and they say there's going to be 96,000 there in attendance, and
But they show up, man. When
yeah,
you go in those other cup, they show up. Good gracious, they show up, man. They show up for their people.
yeah, yeah, and my thing is, like I said, you know what? I had this like months ago or whatever it was, and they announced that fight, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna just say, screw it, I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Here in about less than 24 hours, I'll be on my way out there to kind of
Okay.
like experience that weekend, man. So that's gonna be something really big there for me to
Let
like go
me
through.
tell you something, man. Absolutely, but like I had the most fun there. Man, listen, I had the greatest time in Manchester, England. Oh my gosh. And you like the soccer team, you would think uh, the soccer team came around, you would think that Michael Jackson came around or something, man.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like kings. Like it's incredible.
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Manchester United is one of the most popular
Uh,
sports franchises in the world. So
uh,
you definitely had that. You got Man City that's out there as well too. So they definitely keep up with their, as they say, their football. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy Trill here on the live chat. He tells me eat the mushy peas, bro. Nah, I ain't gonna do all that. No,
Don't
no,
do that,
no,
homie. Don't
no,
do
nah.
that.
I ain't gonna do that. I ain't necessarily down with the breakfast that they be having, So I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible with the fish and chips, maybe, and that's about it.
Right,
That's
right,
about
right.
it. That's about it. We're gonna go to boxing right now, and I'll ask you, who would you say is the most talented fighter in the sport right now?
Uh talent wise. Talent wise, Crawford. Um Crawford, Tank. Um, it's because Tank. You don't see Tank. Tank really can box, and
Yeah.
he really can box. Nobody really sees it because he knocks everybody out, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he can really rock and roll. He can really do his thing. Um, I it might be crazy for me to say, but I like I like Zoo. I,
Mm.
I like he his dad was nothing like him. It's usually you nothing like your dad,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
This boy can fight. He can fight.
Mm.
He's nice, man. He's real nice. Um, Earl Spence. These are guys these guys that I'm naming are probably guys that I always say that could have came up in any years, my years. Could have fought in the years with Ray Leonard's, and could have fought in the years with, because it's a different kind of skill set
Mm-hmm.
that they have, and it almost looked that they have that the old style of boxing, and getting in there is just not the one punch thing and sitting there waiting and trying to be somebody else. They being themselves.
Word, word. And you mentioned those fighters there, of course. Terrence Crawford, kind of like viewed as one of the best pound for pound fighters in the sport currently. Multi-division world champion, what I say, four
Right,
division world champion, two division undisputed champion.
right.
There with Terrence Crawford. And you mentioned Tim Tszyu there, and he's been coming up there at the 154-pound division. Of course, he had his little setback there with Sebastian Fundora there, and that was a tough bout, a tough break there. What happened in that one, but he gets right back in it here with the bout coming up in October for another world title
I,
over
I,
in Orlando.
I don't even, man, that bout that that was a rough one for him.
Mm-hmm.
And for real, it could have still for me could have went kind of either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I I like Crawford. I love Crawford, but you got to give that boy like you got to give that boy a shot again.
Mm.
His last fight, yeah, eh, it's he did for me. For me, he just didn't take the belt.
Yeah, I feel you. We'll see how things work out in that particular division because you got what's going on with Terrence Crawford and what he likes or would like to do. I know that Fedora of course is like holding two of those belts.
Right,
They say that he might face Crawford. I talked with Sans Lukowitz about that, but that remains to be seen if that's going to happen because with Crawford, you don't know if he's going to be fighting again this year. So I
right,
don't know how that's going to work out. And then with Tim Tszyu having his upcoming bout where he could just be a world champion, there and hold another title and then
right,
wait for potentially a rematch there with Sebastian Fundora. So we'll
correct,
to see how that works out
right.
on that end. And you talk about Tank Davis and the thing with Tank is like, yeah, like I talked with his head trainer there, Coach Calvin Ford, and he said multiple times over that people have not seen the best of Tank Davis.
You
They have
haven't.
not.
Don't nobody listen, man. You know, uh, Tank, Tank it, Tank can rock and roll for real, and people haven't even seen it. They haven't seen they haven't seen half of him yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what I would say, one of the things that Coach Calvin was talking about with Tank was like in his bout there that he had against Hector Luis Garcia, where they had like a little segment where they were just like going at it strategically and getting at it on the inside, and you seen like catching slips and everything like that, and he was like, "Woo, yeah, this is a thing that I wanted to see there from Tank Davis." So
Right,
you know
right.
up to this particular point, we haven't seen that many moments there from Tank Davis because some opponents haven't been able to get it out of him. But at least in his last bout that he had against Frank Martin, kind of like gave him a little bit of an element of movement and type of things there. But once Tank started to figure out where he was going to move and then had him, slow down a little bit, then he just broke down Frank Martin, and then it was
I take my hat off to Frank Martin, but I thought it was just way too early for him to go against Tank. It was just out of his league, and that one fight might just ruin him for the rest. They say when you get knocked out, you're never the same.
Never the same.
After that, and when they announced fight, I was just like, oh my God, they shouldn't even do it. Like, it's too early. It was just too early for him. And Frank Martin, I think he can have a heck of a career, and I hope that he still does. I hope he can get past this, but I'm afraid of that.
Word. I mean, I got to see what's going to be next for him, because as you said, once you get knocked out, and especially the way that he got knocked out, it's like never the same. And I can go to like say another previous opponent of Tank Davis, Rolly Romero. Now he was able to go up and win a belt at 140, but then you see what happened with him against Isak Cruz.
He's not the same. He's not the same.
Not the same.
He has not been the same.
Yeah. And but just we're gonna move on to some more things here, but I wanted to get back to the chat here. I think I got my guy Rashid Hammond there through the Second Wind Sports Media, of course. Rashid Hammond. Shout out to DMV Boxing Legends on Facebook there, and I got my guy Just Do Boxing in the building, man. Peace to you, my guy. And Brother Troy asked, what does the champ think about Jesse Bam Rodriguez?
I can't say anything about it because I really don't know him that well. I haven't really seen him fight, so I will not comment on. I'm not one of those fighters just comment to comment. I don't know him that well.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like, I mean, at least for me, he's currently like top 5 pound for pound on the Boxing Source pound for pound list. Okay. He's like I said, been a multi-division world champion. He might have his next bout coming up on November. So we got to see, what goes on with that. But he is like one of the more talented fighters there in the lower weight classes. There when it comes to like 115, 118, and that type of stuff. He's one of those real talented fighters on there.
Right.
Who would be like some other fighters currently that you kept an eye
on? It's crazy. All of my guys from here, I love these guys. Tony Russell, the Russell bro, man, listen, the 140 pound, look, he's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
He a monster, and the younger one is a monster also. Them boys can fight. I just hope that they go the right. You on the right course. I just hope that you stay that course and stay in good terms of people, so you can keep getting your shots and your money and things of that nature, man. That's what it's all about. Just being, if they loyal to you, be loyal to them.
Yeah, and like you mentioned there with Gary Antonio Russell, there's being around the bantamweight division. We're looking to see if he could get back in the ring here pretty soon in the next month or so. You got Gary Antoine Russell. He's I think still currently as the next mandatory challenger there to see if he could get back at Alberto Puello here in the future. And of course, he got Mr. Gary Russell Jr., longstanding WBC featherweight champion, who I had talked with a little bit there at that amateur event that was on Saturday evening. So definitely have him, and of course, like Gary Allen Russell, big Gary Allen. That number of people don't necessarily know because he didn't have that pro career, but in the amateurs, man,
Right.
he was a beast. He was definitely a beast out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, Yeah, for sure, man. Now, going back to this thing here with the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, of course, coming up September 27th to the 29th, there at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Now, for me, Atlantic City is kind of like been those like two different eras. Like, when I first, started watching boxing, like Atlantic City was like, as we said, one of the premier cities there in boxing. But then,
Right.
all of a sudden, over the next like 10 to 15 years, those events started to dwindle and dwindle. Could you like kind of pinpoint like what happened, like how like events didn't get to Atlantic City that much anymore?
Well, I think that you know, a lot of the promoters started taking their stuff out to Vegas, and Vegas started building more casinos and more spectacular events there, and everybody wanted to go over to Vegas and not Atlantic City anymore. And Atlantic City now has truly done a major makeover. If you haven't been there, please go. Major makeover, and they're getting back to old Vegas. I mean, old Atlantic City. It's starting to get back there. More things starting to come back there. More fights are starting to come back there. And some of the promoters, if you're out there, start trying to get up to Atlantic City and do your fights up there. Believe me, the city has changed majorly, and it looks good up there. I love it. I'm gonna start trying to do events up there myself. So even on Hall of Fame weekend, I'm doing the boxing comedy brunch that Sunday, and I have Nate Campbell, which is a three-time
Oh
world champion.
man.
He's my host, and
Oh
how
man.
he is.
Oh my goodness, man. Yo, Nate, my guy. Yo, like he's been like one of the most interesting guests on the Boxing Source here, man. So, but I definitely chop it up with him, a few times here and there. But yeah, he's definitely going to
So,
make a show out of it.
yeah, so Nate is my host, man. He's hosting. I have Alicia Cooper, which is a big star in LA that's coming out to do my comedic work, and she's from DC also. So I had to have her on there. I have a couple of other people that comedians that's coming up that want to host, but absolutely, man, it's going to be great. So I have that going on that Sunday, the comedy brunch. So the brunch is a comedy brunch 11 to 2 p.m. man. That's before Duran and all them have their cigars at evening after the comedy brunch. So man, can you imagine some of them Cubans? You smoke some of them
Oh
Cubans?
man, yeah, that'll be something, man. Yeah,
But
like yeah, that'll be a great day 3 on there, on September 29th. Like I said, the
yeah,
Brunch and Boxing comedy show. Like I said, there you're gonna be hosting that one there at the Backstage Cafe. And you got the Sip and Mingle with Legends there that's gonna be following that on
yeah.
September 29th. So that's definitely going to be good. But
The Boxing
big,
Hall of
big
Fame week
weekend.
so great. If you listen, if you see the Grammys and stuff like that on TV, I lie to you not. The Boxing Hall of Fame, Atlantic City Boxing Hall, is just like that. Just like it, man. I mean, you suited and booted, and you in your tuxes, and you go through the red carpet, and you taking your pictures, and you're doing your interviews, and all that old good stuff, man. Listen, it's a great time. We got a great 3 days ahead of us, man. Get up there, man. Get on Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame .com and see the lineup and get your tickets, man. Get your tickets.
Yeah, definitely got to get your tickets there. With the sharps at 3 o'clock p.m. on September 27th. There, as we're gonna have the Sirius XM radio
Yeah,
show there. Of course, we're at
yeah,
the fights. Of course, with Jerry Cooney himself and Randy Gordon. So you
yeah.
definitely want to be able to catch that, as Jerry Cooney, of course, is part of that 2024 class at the
Part of
Atlantic
the
City
class.
Boxing Hall of Fame alongside Sharmba Mitchell here. And so you got the VIP cocktail reception following that, and then you're going to have a boxing card there at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino,
That's actually
yeah, at
right
the Superstar
here
Theater, actually at the
next to the
Resort
bar.
Hotel and
Yep.
Casino
Yeah.
there. So you got that, and then of course day two, you got the fight fan experience. You're gonna be having a meet and greet and
Oh,
everything there, where you'll be able to meet all the fighters that will be part
check
of the
this
Hall of
out.
Fame and
So
everybody
check this
there.
out.
So
At the fight fan, I got t-shirts. I'm gonna have t-shirts. I'm gonna have pictures, and also I'm gonna have my juices there from my wife and her partner's store, the Purple Flip. So health and wellness. They have sea moss. Have my sea moss juices and stuff there. So you'll be able to get an autograph. You get a T-shirt and all. It's gonna be. I'm putting everything in the bag for you, and you'll be able to have it. So come to the fight fanfare, man. That's going to be absolutely great. I thought that was great last year, man. You see all the fighters in one space, and you're getting their autographs and stuff like that. It costs a little bit of money to come, get your autographs and stuff like that. But guess what? It's all worth it. Trust me.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We have, of course, the Hall of Famers that'll be part of it. They've invited, a number of fighters and past fighters and other legends that'll be part of this weekend as well. That will be in attendance. So you definitely don't want to miss that. As far as like what's going on in the morning, starting at 10 a.m. in the morning there on Saturday with the Fight Fan Experience, and then
Yep.
you have the VIP pre-cocktail reception there before the actual
Oh,
induction ceremony
yeah.
there for people to get ready for it. And then, there around 8 p.m. Eastern time, the awards and induction ceremony, where we will see Sharmba Mitchell be
Right.
officially inducted in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame.
And then there's another um, little cocktail hour after the ceremony that's in the same building. So they got the after, kind of like a little after party after that, and then the next day is all set up for the brunch and the cigar.
Yeah, so definitely be a great experience there. Like I'm saying, I mean, what is it about? But that drive is what I say. I did 4 hours. I think it was like around 4 hours or something like that. At least from where I'm at, because I'm currently south of the DC. So I gotta
Okay,
go through DC a little bit, and then go through the
so
whole
you
thing.
must be in VA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you in VA, yeah, it's gonna take you about four. It's funny from DC or Prince George's County. It take about 2.5, 3 hours, and I'm in Baltimore, so
Mm,
from Baltimore it take me like about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It depends on the
it
traffic.
wasn't much of a problem for you, but I gotta maneuver around, either go through DC or go the whole
Right.
belt, around the whole beltway to at least try to get to the top part of 95. So it's definitely gonna be a little bit of work there for me to get out there, but I've done it before. I can do it
You
again.
do it again, huh?
I can do it again. And my guy, brother Rashid said, yeah, he'll definitely be in the building there for that weekend as well, man. So
Definitely.
definitely, looking forward to that there. But
All right.
big thanks for you for joining us here on the
No,
Boxing Source, man.
for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great conversation, and like I said, I'm looking forward to next weekend here where we do see you get inducted to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. Like I said, September 27th to September 29th, the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame weekend. Y'all be sure to check that out. there, with our guy, the little big man, Sharmba Mitchell.
Hey, I'm getting ready to be a Hall of Famer, man. Incredible.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So that's definitely gonna be a great experience, and I'll see you there on
All
that
right.
weekend.
All right. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That's our guy, Sharmba Mitchell. Big thanks for him to be joining us here, with the conversation. He talked about a lot of the experiences that he had there as a professional, not just in Atlantic City, but in various locations here, in the U.S. and abroad, internationally. So, he'll talk about that during the weekend here coming up next weekend. As you have that Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. As I mentioned, he's there, in the 2024 class alongside James Buster Douglas, Jerry Cooney, Tyron Mitchell Frazier, Mario Maldonado, the Punisher Paul Williams, Mark Breland, Eva Jones Young, and Maravilla Sergio Martinez, as far as like the fighters. And you're gonna have Randy Gordon, Sam Salukowicz, of course, who's been on the Boxing Source YouTube channel here. You got James Buddy McGirt that's gonna be on, Bruce Blair. You're gonna have Eric Batcher, and you're gonna have Guy Gorgon as far as like the contributors there in the class. Pioneers include George Godfrey, Joey Giardello, Eric Seelig, and you're going to have from Posthumus, you're going to have Jay Larkin, Eddie Cotton, and Howard Davis Jr. So that is the 2024 class of the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. And it was definitely going to be an enjoyable experience. You could go on to the website there, for the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, as they will, have more information about, what's going on there, as they have invited a number of, like I said, a number of legends and fighters that will be part of that particular weekend. So you definitely, want to be there to enjoy that. So that is what we got coming up here next week. And like as I said, here in what is it, about 20 hours or so, I'll be on the plane headed overseas there for London, as you're gonna have that big event there for the IBF Heavyweight Championship. Anthony Joshua will seek to become world champion for the third time. Of course, he's been two-time unified heavyweight champion, but this time he'll try to win the IBF title once again. Remember, that was the first world title that he won against Charles Martin. Was able to have an easy bout against Charles Martin to become world champion for the first time. Now he faces Daniel Dynamite Dubois. They're of course 21-2 Dubois, with 20 of those wins by way of knockout. And of course, Anthony Joshua, 28 wins with 3 losses and 25 wins by way of knockout. Both fighters are coming off of a series of wins. Of course, both fighters did lose to Alexander Usyk, of course, who was the undisputed champion. Of course, he gave up this IBF belt, so that's why we got the IBF heavyweight title on the line, and why Daniel Dubois is currently the IBF heavyweight champion. But this one, has had a lot of buzz there over in the UK, over in London. If y'all been following, whether it's through Matchroom Boxing, Queensberry Boxing, the Zone, or Sky Sports, going from the grand arrivals from yesterday, that was crazy. Looked like that was crazy. You had the whole thing there with the workouts today. Like even with the workouts, like you've seen, or at least for me, I've seen like the amount of media that was there for the workout part, and that was just wow. And so, tomorrow they got the press conference, and then Friday is the weigh-in, and I think the weigh-ins at Trafalgar Square over there close to downtown London. I'm telling you that's gonna be wild. And then just the fight scene at Wembley Stadium, it's gonna be like none other there, man. That whole moment is like I said, that's gonna be a crazy moment, so to speak, there. At least for me, good thing for me, I'm not gonna have a nosebleed seat over there, at Wembley Stadium. I thought about it. But I was like, I just waited it out. I was able to get a good seat there at Wembley Stadium, there where it's like around the first level. So I'll be able to have a good seat or whatever it is, and then be able to maneuver if I need to maneuver, to get some good views here and there. So that's the good part about that. Now, the fight itself, okay. You have, of course, as I mentioned, Anthony Joshua, there as a two-time heavyweight champion. Now should become three-time heavyweight champion, and the thing about it is like a number of folks highly favor him to get the win here. I wanted to try to get into the betting odds, so to speak. Of course, you have the whole thing on as I say on DraftKings whatnot. You got Anthony Joshua at minus 425 and Daniel Dubois at plus 320. So they pretty much have Joshua as a 4-1 favorite. Now, the thing with Dubois is, he's coming off some good wins over Jarrell Miller and over Filip Hrgović. Now, we had the conversation, of course, yesterday, with coach, trainer, Ronnie Shields, who was in the corner for Filip Hrgović in that bout against Daniel Dubois. And he, kind of mentioned, Daniel Dubois and him, when he comes forward, he doesn't just use his, fists. He uses his, and maybe that was a significant factor in Filip Hrgović having some significant cuts there over the course of that bout. But what we saw in that bout, especially early, was Filip Hrgović not really missing the right hand that much at all. If there was, maybe a little bit behind it and, a little bit of oomph there, a couple, a little bit more seasoning in it, just, being honest, a little bit more seasoning in that right hand, then Daniel Dubois would have been in some serious trouble in that particular bout, right? But he was able to get through that and, bounce back and be able to get a stoppage victory over Filip Hrgović. Kind of had the same type of adversity there against Jarrell Big Baby Miller early in that fight, in the first half of that fight. The amount of activity from Jarrell Miller was a little bit of a problem for Daniel Dubois, but he was able to weather through that and was basically a war of attrition. He had the energy there in the second half of the fight and then was able to, pick it up there in the second half and, barrage of punches just, forced the referee to have that bout stopped. But on the flip side, you had Anthony Joshua, who, after his second loss to Alexander Usyk, tried to see if he could, build his way back up. And, as, we followed, he has had, multiple fights, Jermaine Franklin, Otto Wallin, Robert Helenius was supposed to fight Dylan White, but ended up fighting Robert Helenius. As I said, Otto Wallin, there at the Day of Reckoning over in Saudi Arabia, whatnot. And he was kind of like trying to build to what he would be as a more complete fighter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Just Do Boxing, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. He was trying to develop himself, as a more complete fighter. And over the course of those recent times, he had been, like I said, with Robert McCracken, with Derek James, there, with Garcia, and then ended up, here now with Chris Jericho. I mean, Ben Davison. Like, come on, man. He looked like Chris Jericho. Come on. Y'all know he looked like Chris Jericho. But Ben Davison, of course, he's been in the corner of a number of fighters there in the UK. Some you'll bring up his time there with Tyson Fury, of course. But here under with Anthony Joshua, it's looked like he's had Joshua become more in the form, more fluent in what he's been doing on offense and defense. And you've seen those elements there, at least particularly against Otto Walling, where he kind of like had the element of what Anthony Joshua was, when he was building his way up to becoming the unified heavyweight champion of the world, where he would, be a little bit more fluid with his punches, be a great counter puncher, catch people, do a catch and shoot, and other things there. And you've seen that against Otto Walling. And also, in this bout against Francis Ngannou, that was, more of like a Clash of the Titans type thing. Of course, you had the performance of Ngannou against Tyson Fury last October. And, Ngannou was kind of like carrying on with that motivation there against Anthony Joshua. But all Anthony Joshua did was just use a little bit of his experience and be more of like a counter puncher and catch Francis Ngannou, early, very early, and basically broke Francis Ngannou there very quickly, So his confidence, is pretty much like a calm confidence here going up against Daniel Dubois. And, I feel like, with Dubois, kind of like has built himself up to be around that top 5, maybe around 5 or 6, so to speak, are there in the heavyweight division. Below, as you say, Alexander Usyk, Tyson Fury, you got Anthony Joshua. You do have Joseph Parker that's still around there too, that I feel like should be mentioned among that top 5 now. Of course, former WBO heavyweight champion. But with Anthony Joshua, this is, part of his thing, I guess, for him to get back into the mix is try to achieve his goal, his original goal of becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion. And now he's going up here against Daniel Dubois. Like I said, Dubois is out there as the young fighter. They kind of like, some people kind of like mention that way back, Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua sparred, and some people mentioning that Daniel Dubois was, getting it in and doing his thing there against Anthony Joshua. But sparring is a whole different animal than just being out there in the ring, because I mean, Daniel Dubois and Philip Hrgovic sparred, and Hrgovic got the better of Dubois in sparring, and then we saw what happened in that fight. But here, we have, of course, young upstart there, Daniel Dubois, 27 years old, 6'5", with a reach of 78, going up against Anthony Joshua, who's there at 34. Height at 6'6", with a reach of 82. Now, it's one thing to have height advantage, it's one thing to have the reach advantage, but from what I've seen in the past few fights, and shoot, you even see that a little bit there in the workout, if you were able to see it there earlier today. Dubois is a tad slower than he really should be, a tad slower than he really should be. I like that, he's, had, a couple of fights there with his trainer, but that's kind of like, got him, back to, where some thought he would be at, because he was like one of the young upstarts there in the UK before he fought Joe Joyce, right? And then in that particular instance, he had that setback, being basically a jab to submission, right? So he had to come back from that. He had like another instance of adversity against Kevin Lorena, where he had almost that same type of issue like he had against Joe Joyce, where he was knocked down pretty much down on one knee on 3 times in the first round against Kevin Lorena. And that was like, really, like, just being honest, I thought that fight would have been stopped. But hey, some folks know about that referee. That was there for that fight. And he's kind of had a few controversial moments. But Daniel Dubois was able to get back from that and was able to get the TKO victory. And then the next fight, he fought Alexander Usyk, and you had another referee that's been controversial there, Luis Pabon, that had that judgment call there with Dubois' punch that landed on Usyk's trunks, and Pabon thought it was a low blow. So that ended up, changing the whole course of what could have happened there on that particular bout. And we saw the result. Usyk ended up stopping Daniel Dubois. And then now you have the whole thing there. Like I said, with Dubois getting himself back in the gear there with Don Charles. And, of course, they kind of mentioned that Dubois' father there, Dave, was also, there to kind of boost up the confidence of Daniel Dubois in this past couple of fights. So he's been, very, very cool, calm, and feels like he's ready to go. He's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. But for me, I mean, I just don't see a method there for him to get a win unless Joshua really slips up on something where I would say maybe it would kind of be the first Ruiz fight where he had a level of comfortability after scoring a knockdown on Andy Ruiz and kind of got a little bit too close to Andy Ruiz to where Andy Ruiz was able to land a big shot, big hook or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It's heavyweight. It's a heavyweight division. Like anybody could, get a good shot and really be affected by it. And here with Daniel Dubois, I mean, that still could be the case. But as long as Anthony Joshua just sticks to his game plan, uses his range, distance, I feel like he has a better jab, even though Daniel Dubois has a good jab of his own. When Joshua is on with his, it's a real problem for his opponents, And like I said, with his counterpunching game, it could also be something there as well. And so, I feel like it's going to be Anthony Joshua just eventually breaking down Daniel Dubois pretty much at the midway part of the scheduled 12 rounds. I think with Dubois, he's able to take a good amount of, punches, but at some point it's going to be really, really bad for him to where, either, the referee will have to waive it or maybe, Don Charles will have to waive the bout there. And Anthony Joshua, I feel like, will be the winner and become the IBF heavyweight champion there once again. Now, like I said, that's going to headline a huge event there in Wembley Stadium. And I mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it again. Listen, I know, kind of as a media member in some senses, I'm not here in this case. But, if I do run into Turkey, I said it before and I said it again, I ain't holding his hand, man. I'm not doing it. Nope, that ain't happening. Okay. Dana White could do it. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn could do it. You know what I'm saying? Frank Warren could do it. Sorry, man. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. So if I run into him, maybe we could have a handshake, maybe, or something. I don't know. Maybe we do, daps or something. But holding his hand, no, I ain't doing it. But that like I said, that'll be part of a huge card there in Wembley Stadium. That also includes IBF super featherweight title fight between Anthony Kasasi and Josh Warrington. Yes, Kasasi is an IBF super featherweight champion, but that belt won't be on the line for this particular bout, as Josh Warrington isn't necessarily, I guess, qualified to fight for the IBF super featherweight title. course, Kasasi had just recently won it with a stoppage victory there over Joe Cordina just about 4 months ago. So this is going to be a big challenge here for Josh Warrington, as he was, of course, a champion in the featherweight division, the IBF champion there in the featherweight division, but he's coming off 2 tough losses there featherweight, and now coming up to super featherweight to have this bout here against Anthony Kasasi. You got Tyler Denny against Hamza Shiraz. Shiraz there in the middleweight division has really made some noise. There, his last bout was part of that Queensberry versus Matchroom 5v5 against Ammo Williams. Was able to stop Ammo Williams there in that particular bout, and he had probably one of the more impressive performances there on that fight card. So he's there as a really, really good contender there in the middleweight division, now going up against Tyler Denny, who has a record there of 19 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws. This might be like one of those things there where it could be a showcase fight there for Hamza Shiraz. But the thing though with Tyler Denny is he was able to score a victory over Felix Cash by technical decision there a few months back. So he was able to hand Felix Cash his first professional loss. Maybe he could do the same thing here with Hamza Shiraz, but no, I'm not all too confident about all that either. Another intriguing bout, at least to me, is Joshua Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson here in the light heavyweight division. Willie Hutchinson was part of that 5v5 against Craig Richards, was able to get a decision win there. Now going up to against Buatsi, undefeated. There had a win over Dan Aziz earlier this year. So this is going to be a pretty interesting bout here in the light heavyweight division. Is for the interim WBO light heavyweight title there. So that's going to be a really competitive bout. You have Mark Chamberlain versus Josh Padley. There, 2 undefeated fighters. Mark Chamberlain had been mentioned as a potential opponent for Ashakur Nafis Shahid Stevenson in the future. But, of course, they had the news there reference to Shakur Stevenson, being, having a nurse a hand injury, have surgery. So he's not going to be participating in the fight card that's coming up next month. So as far as Mark Chamberlain potentially fighting Shakur Stevenson in 2025, I don't know if that's all going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be, I guess that might end up being an opening bout there for this fight card. Mark Chamberlain versus Josh Badley, but I'll see. Then you have Josh Kelly versus Ismail Davis. Davis, I think, he should be there as Liam Smith was supposed to be the opponent there for Josh Kelly, but Liam Smith couldn't necessarily be there on this particular card there. I think it was due to injury or something like that, right? So that's why you have Ismail Davies coming in here, with about 9 or so days, there to get himself in this particular bout. So he'd say, hey, let me be part of this, huge card at Wembley Stadium going up against Josh Kelly. There, Josh Kelly is there at 15 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw there, and was trying to become a contender there in the super welterweight division. If I'm not mistaken, he should be among the top 3 in the WBO rankings there at super welterweight. Actually at number 2 in the WBO rankings at super welterweight, and at currently number 5 in the IBF. So this could be a good opportunity here for Ismail Davis to get in the mix there at 154. So we got to see how he'll be able to fare in that particular bout. So we'll see how that goes. I think they said that they'll have the doors open around 4 p.m. London time there to, and then get the bout started or whatever it is. Yeah, I said it too. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to be there that entire time, man. That's a little bit of a stretch. I know folks that were at the Los Angeles Riot season event, and they were there from fight one until the main event. I'm like, me, I don't know if I could do all that even at Wembley Stadium. So I have to figure out how I'll be able to maneuver, see if I can get there at a good time, get to my seat at a good time, and be able to enjoy the fights that I'll be able to go ahead and watch. So that's going to be something there for that. And as I said, uh, it's going to be an experience like another in that one. As far as like any live coverage, I'm gonna see if I could do something for the weigh-in either here on YouTube or on the Instagram channel. We'll see how that goes. What I might do is I might see if I could do some live video of the weigh-in on YouTube, and then after that, be on a little bit on Instagram there for what's going on after the weigh-in. So we'll see how we work those things out. Once I get settled in there and get my bearings and everything like that. So y'all be sure to be on the lookout for all of that there. But for me, this is the conclusion of the midweek report here for September 18, 2024. As far as like a Boxing Source podcast, with that whole time change thing, I'll have to see how that works out. Whether it's going to be, that Sunday or that Monday. Probably be that Monday because that Sunday I'm gonna, probably still be out and about there in the city or whatnot. So we'll see how that works out. But of course, big thanks to our special guest for today, Sharmba Mitchell. And like I said, he will be part of that Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame coming up the following weekend here at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino there in Atlantic City. So y'all be sure to check that out. And I'll be out there, with the festivities and everything like that. So that's gonna be good. Um, and just follow us on social media. Like I said, you got the handles up here or whatnot. So I'll be sure to do that. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Be sure to share this particular midweek report. And that's it for me, man. I will catch y'all later. Peace out.